Released by Capcom in 1998 on the PlayStation and later ported to multiple platforms, Resident Evil 2 would be a direct sequel to the award-winning original installment. Directed by Hideki Kamiya, who would later direct Resident Evil 0, the original Devil May Cry, Beautiful Joe, Okami, and Bayonetta, he would also write a script that would be overhauled by writer Noboru Sugimura, who later wrote Resident Evil Code Veronica and Clock Tower 3. The game was over halfway done when producer and series creator Shinji Mikami scrapped the project for being too dull and instead helped recreate the game to focus on more circumstances of desperation. For gameplay, Resident Evil 2 continues a survival horror focus on puzzles, exploration, limited saves and resources, and monsters, with mainly the same combat, camera, art style, and movement mechanics, while still continuing the overall story for the series with significantly more plot. The game would introduce more iconic characters and monsters, such as variant tyrants and the Licker, as well as increase immersion by having the player clutch wounds and then limp depending on how severe their sustained damage was. In addition, extra scenarios besides the main game could be played as a minigame. One was the fourth survivor, in which Umbrella infiltrator Hunk would make his debut and extract the G-Virus, and another would be a comical tale of a piece of tofu escaping the city. The game would feature two protagonists again, with the ability to play as two other side characters for small segments, though this time players could experience the whole story in a unique way. Each hero had their own unique scenarios, stories, and obstacles, and when the player played through the game as one of them, they unlocked a subsequent version of the game as the other hero with changes to the story, bosses, and even areas based on the decisions and actions of the first hero. Despite the freedom of storytelling, the setup of playing Claire's story, coined Claire A, Leon B, is the official canon sequence of events, though a remake of the game is currently in progress. The story only gets larger from here, so let's cut it down to size with a recapitation. Taking place in 1998, 2 months after the events of the first game, the Midwestern community of Raccoon City has been exposed to the T-Virus, a mutagenic toxin created by the pharmaceutical enterprise Umbrella for use in bioweapon experiments. The first incident in the Arklay Mountains was supposedly closed thanks to the efforts of the Raccoon City Police Department's STARS unit. However, Umbrella's research and creations had survived. At this time, we see Claire Redfield, younger sister to STARS hero Chris Redfield, who has just arrived in the city on her motorcycle. At the same time, Leon S. Kennedy, rookie cop, has just arrived in the city as well, when he stops before a body he finds on the road. As he investigates, he is quickly surrounded by zombies, and even the body he was examining reanimates and tries to bite him. He shoots someone in his leg and is pushed back into an alley as he sees firing into them accomplishes little. Meanwhile, Claire enters a bar, noting everything looks strangely abandoned, when she's shocked to see something devouring a corpse on the floor. The monster turns to her as its next victim, and she quickly finds herself surrounded by zombies as well, opting to flee through a nearby exit. As she bursts out, she's immediately before Leon, urging him not to shoot her, and in a snap move, Leon fires an expert headshot to save Claire. Not wasting any time, he tells her to come with him to the police station for safety. They spot an abandoned squad car and drive off in it and introduce themselves in the reprieve. Leon explains he's a cop and this is technically his first day on the job, while Claire is here looking for her brother Chris, a member of STARS. Checking the car, they find a handgun within, as well as a zombified passenger in the back that attacks them. In the struggle, Leon loses control of the car, hitting a sign pole and ejecting the zombie through the windshield, killing it. Before they have any time to breathe, now a gas tanker with a dying driver inside bears down on them, and they leap away just in time before the tanker crashes into the car and explodes. Fortunately, they are both unharmed and shout to each other to meet up at the station, parting ways from here. As the real nightmare begins, Claire and Leon find the streets of Raccoon City have been overrun by zombies, and learning to weave between them, Claire ducks into a nearby gun shop. The gun shop owner is not only still alive, but also ready to fire as soon as she enters. She expresses she's not a monster, and in relief he lowers his gun, and locks the door behind her. He doesn't have an explanation for the zombie outbreak either, but their conversation is cut short when a horde of them crashes through the street window, seizes him and begins feeding. Escaping out the back door, the urban alleyways are no safer as Claire moves past the devastated streets to the outside of the Raccoon City police station. Leon landed on the side of the police station, and arriving there quickly, he ascends the side of the building and sees a helicopter fly overhead. It hovers above another surviving officer and drops a ladder to rescue him with. However, the undead are already on his heels, and panicking, he unloads his submachine gun into them. The zombies succeed in grabbing him, and his live fire goes astray, killing the helicopter pilot who loses control and crashes down into the station, thus ending that option for escape and perpetuating a series trope. Forced to navigate around the wreckage, Leon enters the precinct and finds himself forced to gun down the zombified remnants of the Raccoon City Police as he puts out the fiery wreck. About to enter the station again, he notes another helicopter fly overhead. It drops a large cylinder that splits open to release an unnaturally large trench-coated man. The man crashes through the roof of the precinct, and as it slowly encroaches on Leon with its giga strength, Leon seems to only be able to stun it long enough to get away, for as soon as he leaves the giant man stirs and rises again, seemingly invincible. Entering through the front lobby, Claire finds it all strangely quiet, but she manages to find one severely wounded officer left. She asks about Chris, but the officer says they lost contact with him 10 days ago, as well as any other STARS members. 2 months ago, they warned the Raccoon City police about the events in the mountains and Umbrella's plot, but unfortunately no one believed them. The guard passes along an access card for her to help the other survivors here, but further in, she encounters a new abomination in the form of a ceiling-crawling, giant-clawed, spear-tongued licker. Interestingly, she does discover some investigation reports Chris put through, which uncover that Police Chief Irons has been bribed by Umbrella to cover up the mansion incident. Leon does his own investigating, finding a journal by Chris detailing how Umbrella is behind all of this, has been developing a more potent virus called the G-Virus, and is left with allies Jill and Barry to Umbrella's HQ in Europe. Meanwhile, Claire rescues a little girl from a zombie, though she flees soon after, running into Leon and fleeing from him too. Claire bumps into Leon again, and they agree to find and rescue the little girl, and so split up again, with Claire to look for the girl and Leon to secure an escape. Leon finds a radio they can stay in contact with, and Claire moves further into the precinct, eventually finding Chief Irons' office. Irons is still alive, with a dead beautiful woman spread on his desk. He dismisses Claire, but explains anyway this is the mayor's daughter, whom he was supposed to protect, yet failed in doing so. He seems a bit obsessed with the girl anyway, and talks openly about using his taxidermy skills here. Leaving quickly after seeing it's more of a gunshot wound than monster attack that seemed to kill the girl, and learning Irons is a suspected rapist, Claire soon finds a little girl, and manages to catch her this time. The girl is startled at first, but is soon relieved to find Claire is here to help. She radios Leon about her success and introduces herself to the little girl, who introduces herself as Sherry, who came here per request of her parents, both of whom work for Umbrella's chemical plant. However, she warns Claire that something much larger than a normal zombie seems to be chasing just her, and as she hears a very distinctive growl, runs off again. Meanwhile, Leon finds the garage and checks it out for an escape option when suddenly he's shot at by a woman in a red dress. She apologizes and introduces herself as Ada Wong, here looking for Ben, a reporter who is in one of the jail cells here. Leon helps her find Ben, and Ada asks him a few questions, claiming they are to help her find her boyfriend who works for Umbrella who went missing. Ben doesn't cooperate and in fact locked himself in the cell for safety against the zombies and monsters outside. They hear an inhuman yell affirming his statement, and Ben points out that the only way he knows of out of the city is via the sewer, to which there is an entrance beyond the kennels in the station. Ada declares she's going ahead and does so, with Leon following her into the sewers and giving her a much needed boost through a narrow duct. Claire checks back with Chief Irons, who seems to be missing now, but reading his journals reveals he internally sabotaged the police into confusion and failure and cut off nearly every escape route in retaliation for Umbrella messing up the city and his own plans. It turns out he went mad and started hunting down the survivors in this station, from his own officers to the mayor's daughter, whom he intended to preserve through taxidermy. Back with Sherry, Sherry claims to hear her father call for her and she runs ahead again, but this time through a narrow passage Claire cannot follow through. Ada runs into Sherry, who runs from Ada while dropping her pendant. Ada picks up the pendant and sees the family photo inside, opting to hold on to it in case she runs into the girl again, and tells Leon she'll meet up with him later. Defenseless against the zombie dogs, Sherry searches out but finds no sign of her father and meets up with Claire again in Chief Irons' office. They uncover a hidden passage behind the desk as well as a correspondence between Chief Irons and Umbrella researchers William and Annette Birkin. Birkin mentions Wesker's betrayal, orders Irons to kill the remaining STARS members, and bribes him to block Umbrella from cumbering his development of a new G-Virus that surpasses the T-Virus. Claire has Sherry stay put in the hidden area and moves ahead when she hears Irons screaming for his life. Unseen by Claire, a massive creature shoots some sort of tentacle into Irons' mouth and he collapses as it slithers inside of him. As Claire enters, Irons is back on his feet and clearly deranged, ranting about how Umbrella has destroyed this town with their experiments, and Sherry's father, William Birkin, is the man to blame. In fact, the terrible monster that is indeed stalking Sherry in particular is one of the ultimate bioweapons created by Birkin's G-Virus. He corners her, but suddenly doubles over in pain as a small creature violently bursts out of him, tearing Irons in half and scurries away. Claire sees the creature suddenly growing into a horrible misshapen beast and kills it before it becomes more of a menace. At the same time, Leon has his hands full with the trenchcoat giant as it chases Leon at every turn and never seems to die. Relentless in its pursuit, it smashes through the very walls of the station to hound Leon, somehow knowing where he is at all times. To make matters worse, more zombies keep pouring into the station from the streets. As he passes by the cells, he hears Ben cry out, but doesn't see that it's another huge monster that slaughters him. Leon is just too late to arrive, but Ben hands him his investigation report, revealing it was Police Chief Irons that was a co-conspirator to this catastrophe. Ada now catches up to Leon, and when reading Ben's report, suddenly declares she's going to Umbrella's chemical plant. After discovering a way to the sewer and seeing it as a way out of the city, Claire returns to Sherry and reflects it may be safer if Sherry escapes with her, rather than return her to her father, William Birkin. She radios Leon about her escape plan, and though Leon urges her to wait, she ignores him, and he wonders why he's surrounded by women who just won't listen to him. As Claire and Sherry drop into the sewers, they catch a glimpse of the monstrous man hunting down Sherry and decide to make a run for it. Leon encounters the man too, who tears off a piece of pipe to wield and suddenly doubles inside before Leon's eyes. They fight on the catwalk and Leon manages to wound the man enough to cause him to tumble over. At the same time, Sherry slips down a drainage chute and then when attempting to escape is dropped down another garbage chute. She's knocked unconscious as the stalking giant from before succeeds in finding her. Leon now catches up to Ada and insists they stick together so as to get out of here alive, and Ada resigns to following Leon's lead and protection. Meanwhile, Claire dodges the monstrously large spiders in the sewers when she's met at gunpoint by Annette Birkin, who takes her for another Umbrella spy here to steal her husband's research. Claire explains she's actually here for her daughter Sherry, and Annette suddenly becomes alarmed as she explains the monster that is chasing Sherry is actually her husband William. She recounts how when William completed the G-Virus, Umbrella's private military stormed his lab demanding it. Unfortunately, one of the gunmen got jumpy and opened fire on William, gunning him down and securing the virus. When Annette arrived, she immediately left to get medical supplies, but William chose instead to inject himself with the G-Virus. While it did revitalize him, it also turned him into a malformed abomination with still some sentience. He chased after her and killed the extraction team and destroyed the samples they claimed. Unfortunately, sewer rats came across the destroyed samples and became carriers of the virus, mutating and becoming the ground zero for the spread of the virus to the rest of the city. By now, William has become a mindless monster, but Annette shares that G-Virus monsters like William can implant embryos into other creatures, but as it turns out, the embryos are rejected by hosts unrelated by blood, hence why William is seeking his own daughter Sherry. They suddenly hear Sherry scream and split up to look for her, though when Claire finds her still in the dumping area, a giant crocodile lunges out to eat her. Thinking quickly, she tips a canister of gas into the creature's maw and fires into it, blowing the creature's head off. As Leon and Ada descend deeper into the sewers, they encounter a frantic Annette, and Ada suddenly gives chase. The armed Annette opens fire on them, and Leon dives to protect Ada, taking a bullet for her and saving her life. Ada acknowledges Leon's bravery, but excuses herself to chasing down the woman. Annette is waiting this time and expertly shoots the gun right out of Ada's hand, and recognizes Ada as the girlfriend to one of her lab assistants, though informs her he is already dead. She then notices Sherry's pendant around Ada's neck and demands its return, and in her hesitation, Ada takes the opportunity to grab the gun from Annette. Unfortunately, in their struggle, Annette is sent tumbling down over the railing. Coyly, Ada retrieves her gun and reveals the true secret of the pendant, which is hiding a sample of the G-Virus. Claire now retrieves and tends to Sherry, who forebodingly mentions a bad stomachache, though reassures her all will be fine. They discover a tram car that leads to a curious train engine sitting atop a secret elevator. As they ascend, Sherry's stomach pain worsens and Claire fears it's not long before the embryo hatches. Leon awakes from the shock of his gunshot wound and catches up to Ada, who thanks him for saving her life and patches him up. They call back the tram car Claire just used, and while riding it, a giant claw tears through the roof and attacks them, forcing them to shoot wildly to fend it off. Finishing the ride peacefully, Leon barely has a moment to breathe as he searches for a way further down now, as a trenchcoat giant finds and corners him again, though he edges out a temporary win. Over by Claire, something heavy lands on the train, and going outside to investigate, Claire dodges a pipe thrown by the monstrous William Birkin, who is still in pursuit of Sherry and now mutating into an even more advanced and deadly stage. After a harrowing fight, she manages to defeat William and picks up a collapsed Sherry as the elevator stops before an Umbrella laboratory. She lays Sherry down and gives her her jacket, and Sherry shares with her that even though she was an only child, neither of her parents ever really spent any time with her, choosing to focus on work. She tells Claire she trusts her, and Claire promises to find an antidote for the virus within Sherry. Gathering Ada and retrieving the train elevator, they now descend even further, though William is still on board. He jabs through the side of the train and stabs Ada in the back, knocking her out as well. Going out to confront the threat, William Birkin is a total abomination now, and Leon defends himself and Ada from him once again, forcing it to fall back. He tends to Ada and gives her an upbeat welcome as she comes to. He tells her they're in front of Umbrella's secret underground lab, and he'll go out to find some medical supplies for her. Ada tells Leon she'll just slow him down to go on without her, and Leon jokes about women these days not hearing him, reaffirming that he'll take care of her and get them out of here. Ada then reveals that she knows she shouldn't feel anything for him, but likes being around him and doesn't want to lose Leon. With that, he tells her to rest here and he'll be right back. However, Leon is suddenly cornered by Annette, who reveals to Leon that Ada was an Umbrella spy sent here to steal the G-Virus. Leon denies this, choosing to believe in Ada, but Annette says this is undeniable after she did a background check on her through the lab assistant Ada pretended to be a girlfriend to in order to spy on. She prepares to kill him, but then the trenchcoat monster crashes down on both of them, and Annette opts to flee, leaving Leon to fend for himself. For Claire, the lab proves to be a maze unto itself, and she's confronted by Annette, who angrily accuses her of killing William. She reveals another G-Virus sample she prepared to escape with, and Claire explains they have to help Sherry, who has been implanted with an embryo by William. They hear the roar of William, and Annette is relieved, running off to meet him, though as she stops before him, there's nothing remotely William left about this G-Virus monstrosity. Instead, it slashes her down without thinking twice and leaps away. A dying Annette gasps out there is a vaccine for the G-Virus, named Devil, gives Claire the notes on how to make it, and dies, apologizing to Sherry for not being a good mother. Leon only buys a short amount of time before the monster gets up again, and this time Ada steps in to cover Leon. She unloads into the monster's head, even as it clutches her and brutally slams her into some machinery. Blinded, the monster tumbles over the railing and falls headfirst into a smelting pit below, seemingly to its end. Quickly, Leon rushes to the gravely wounded Ada, and she urges him to escape. Again, he insists they're a team and won't leave her behind. At this time, Ada confesses to Leon that she's fallen in love with him and kisses him deeply before falling limp and succumbing to her wounds. Crying out for her, Leon's grief is cut short as an alarm declaring the activation of the self-destruct sequence sounds off. Claire catches the same alarm, along with the instructions for evacuation, as she races against the countdown clock to synthesize the vaccine and spots Leon on the security camera. She radios him to rescue Sherry for her as she takes care of business here, and Leon finds Sherry, carrying her off to the employee train terminal. He preps the transport train when suddenly the fiery body of the stalking giant leaps down towards him. Leon now sees the true form of the man in the trench coat as one of the fearsome tyrant, who's now much faster and deadlier than his lumbering form before. He's outmatched in this fight, but then the silhouette of Ada comes out and tosses him a rocket launcher to use. Leon is shocked and surprised to see Ada somehow still alive, but wastes no time in grabbing the weapon and finishing the fight with a bang and a witty one-liner. Ada is still nowhere to be seen, so he hurries back to the train to finish the escape route prep. Succeeding in the delicate task of making the vaccine, Claire rushes back to the train as merely 5 minutes remain till the lab self-destructs, when the black and savage G-type William ambushes Claire, dropping down on all fours and mutating further into a dog-like maw of fangs. Fending it off until the elevator comes, Claire slips away from the recovering William and makes it to the train with no time to spare. She leaps aboard just as the facility explodes behind them, and as the train continues on, she administers the antidote to Sherry. The vaccine works, and Sherry wakes up just fine, so they talk about what's next. Claire is still looking for her brother Chris, and Leon feels this is just the beginning of his own fight with Umbrella. He privately says goodbye to Ada, but suddenly something rocks the whole train. He hurries back to the girls, and the train's security warns of a biohazard on board, and the train will detonate as a definitive security measure. With only a few minutes to rid the threat, Leon is suddenly chased back by a new grotesque form of William Birkin, now a giant tentacled blob growing at an accelerated rate. The nightmare slithers its toothy maw ever closer as Leon fires everything he has into it. Defeating the monster, Leon watches William Birkin and his first-hand sample of G-Virus melt into a disgusting black ooze. However, the train does not confirm the threat removed, and indeed the monster lurches to life yet again, trapping Sherry and Claire in the cabin as Leon climbs on top of the car. Sherry ducks into the vents to climb into the otherwise locked engine room, and Claire distracts the beast. Leon catches up to Sherry and points to her the emergency brakes button, and as the train comes to a screeching halt, Claire, Leon, and Sherry run for the tunnel exit as William overtakes the train. As the game ends, the train explodes, flooding the tunnel with an inescapable fire, but the trio is safe from harm and the G-type abomination is finally eliminated. With the open road before them, Leon urges the girls to hurry up as they've no time to waste in joining the fight to take out Umbrella. Resident Evil 2 has enjoyed the success of selling over 6.7 million copies worldwide.